She called me worthless right there in front of her 5 friends. And the worst part? I'd just finished planning what I thought would be the perfect birthday for her. Madison, the woman I'd spent 4 years loving. I'd booked Charleston's most exclusive seafood restaurant, set up a weekend she'd once said was her dream getaway. Every detail had been chosen for her. Even the edible flowers on her dessert came from one of her old Instagram saves. That night started like something out of a movie, the kind where everything glows just right. Madison looked beautiful, her friends were smiling, and I thought maybe for once I'd done everything right. But then one of them mentioned a Tesla and a trip to Ka Island, and suddenly I wasn't enough. She laughed, this cold, sharp laugh, and said I was just a community college teacher who plays with fish tanks. And in that moment, it wasn't just her words that hurt. It was the way she said them. Like every good thing I'd ever done was something small, something beneath her. The restaurant went quiet. I could feel people watching, waiting for me to fight back to defend myself. But I didn't. I just looked at her, placed my napkin down, and said softly, "You're right." Then I stood, walked to the host stand, paid the $340 bill, and left. The drive that night felt endless. Charleston lights blurring past as my phone buzzed over and over. By the time I reached my friend Miguel's place, I'd missed 67 calls. Her messages went from sorry to furious to desperate, all in the span of an hour. I didn't answer. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, letting the silence swallow everything. And by morning, something inside me shifted. I called old students, expanded my diving business, fixed the equipment I'd been putting off. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for her approval. When she showed up at my lab later that day, pounding on the glass, demanding I talk to her, I didn't move. I simply told her through that thick pane of glass that her name was never on the deed. She wasn't coming back. And for the first time, it wasn't anger I felt. It was peace. "Ryan, we need to talk like adults," she shouted, her voice echoing through the hallway as students turned to stare. Madison always knew how to draw attention, even when the spotlight burned. I stayed silent behind the glass, watching her frustration twist into something darker. "You can't just shut me out after 4 years together," she cried. And when I didn't respond, the threats started, whispering promises to expose private parts of our life. But the moment I mentioned that several people had recorded her restaurant meltdown, her confidence faltered. I could see it, the flicker of panic behind her eyes, anger, then calculation, then fear. She pressed her palms against the glass like a prisoner desperate to be heard. "I sacrificed my career for your dead-end teaching job, Ryan. I could have been in Miami building something real, but I stayed for you." That's when I turned my laptop toward her, pulled up years of bank statements, proof that while she chased her personal brand, I'd been quietly paying for everything. The mortgage, the groceries, the life she flaunted online. Her face went pale, her reflection on the glass shrinking with every number she recognized. For the first time, she looked cornered. 2 days later, she came back, and this time with backup. Her mother, her sister, a few friends, all marching into my beach cottage like it was a courtroom. They tried claiming furniture, electronics, even my vintage surfboard. But I had receipts for everything, every single thing. When Madison tried to spin it, saying the surfboard was a gift from our 2nd anniversary, I showed her the dated invoice. Bought 5 years before I'd even met her. The room grew heavier with each document I laid down. Her friends shifted awkwardly. Her mother tried to smooth it over, voice soft, pleading, "Ryan, surely you can be reasonable about shared belongings after 4 years together." But then Madison went for her last card, placing a hand on her stomach, her voice trembling just enough. "I didn't want to say this here, but maybe I'm pregnant." The air froze. And then her sister, bless her unfiltered honesty, tilted her head and said, "Madison, didn't you just renew your birth control at Dr. Peterson's last week?" Silence. Pure, shattering silence. That's when I decided to end it once and for all. "Speaking of Dr. Peterson," I said quietly, "I found your Miami conference receipts, the ones showing a shared hotel room with Chase Morrison from Resort Marketing." Her face drained of color. "That was innocent," she stammered. But her mother's expression said otherwise. Her friends started backing away. Even Chloe looked like she wanted to disappear. Within minutes, Madison's web of lies started collapsing in on itself. Later that evening, she tried to rewrite the story online. A series of glossy Instagram posts painted her as the victim. talking about escaping manipulation and recognizing toxic generosity. She used my birthday dinner photos, the ones I'd paid for, and turned them into evidence of her survival. At first, her followers flooded in with sympathy. "You deserve better, Queen. Stay strong, girl. Toxic men always reveal themselves." But then, Chloe commented, just one line that cut through the noise. "Madison, we all watched you destroy a good man at that restaurant. This victim story is manipulation, and it's disgusting." 14 minutes later, the comment disappeared. So did Chloe, blocked and erased. The next morning, the fallout began. An anonymous complaint reached my department head, claiming I'd behaved inappropriately with students. It didn't take long for the truth to surface. My spotless record and glowing reviews spoke for themselves. Still, I knew where the complaint had come from. But karma has its timing. Within hours, those same restaurant videos, the ones captured by strangers that night, started spreading online. Madison, drunk and cruel, tearing into me while I stayed calm and quiet. Her words echoing, "You're absolutely worthless." And then my quiet reply, "You're right," followed by me leaving. The internet turned quickly. Comments flooded in. "Imagine calling someone worthless while he's paying for your $340 dinner." Classic. Ruin a good man, then cry victim. Her followers dropped like flies. Her professional contacts, the ones she bragged about, began distancing themselves one by one. Recruiters, colleagues, even her own manager left subtle but sharp comments about hospitality values. By the next day, her account was private, but it was too late. Screenshots were everywhere. The story had already escaped her control. And as I sat by the ocean that evening, listening to the waves crash against the shore outside my cottage, I realized something. I didn't need to win. The truth had already done it for me. The irony wasn't lost on me. Madison had always tried to control the narrative, through her filters, her captions, her carefully chosen angles. But now, the same platform that built her brand had turned against her. 3 weeks after the restaurant incident, I woke up to the sound of my garage keypad beeping at 2 a.m. Someone was trying to get in. When I opened the door, there she was, Madison, hair tangled, eyes wild, punching in old codes and demanding I let her inside. "These are shared assets," she yelled, loud enough to wake the neighborhood. By the time campus security arrived, she was still screaming that it was half her home. But when I showed them the deed, the lease she'd never signed, and her move-out acknowledgement, they saw it for what it was, desperation. A week later, a thick envelope landed in my mailbox. A demand letter from her lawyer, $18,000 for constructive eviction, $15,000 for emotional damages, and half the value of my beach cottage and diving equipment. The claims were absurd, that I'd isolated her financially and created hostile living conditions. Luckily, Miguel's sister, a sharp attorney with a dry sense of humor, handled it. "Domestic partnership in South Carolina without a cohabitation agreement." She laughed, scribbling notes. "That's like claiming marriage because you shared a Netflix password." She attached the viral dinner videos to her rejection letter as evidence of public humiliation and defamation. Then things got worse for Madison. Her company's compliance department contacted me for a statement. Her meltdown had started to reflect on their brand. I sent them the footage and the receipts. Proof that I'd funded the very lifestyle she flaunted online. Their response was careful but clear. "We're reviewing this matter thoroughly." Thursday, she showed up again. I was down at the campus dock, prepping dive gear for my afternoon students. Her voice carried across the water, sharp, frantic. "You orchestrated my career destruction," she shouted. "You turned everyone against me because your ego couldn't handle the truth." I didn't even look up at first. "Madison," I said finally, 5 witnesses and multiple videos show exactly what happened. You didn't just make a mistake. You made a choice, and the world saw it." She tried to reach for my clipboard, her voice cracking. "I loved you, Ryan. Everything I said came from frustration, not hate." I met her eyes. "You called me worthless in front of your friends," I said quietly. That wasn't frustration. That was contempt, and I finally see the difference. 6 weeks after that night, my life looked nothing like it had before. My diving company, now called Coastal Marine Education, was thriving. I'd booked 12 private instruction contracts and landed a $95,000 partnership with the state's Marine Conservation Program. The work was meaningful, training students, restoring coral, protecting coastlines. The same work Madison once mocked as playing with fish tanks. I renovated the cottage too, stripped away her sterile white decor and replaced it with weathered wood, maps, and old nautical pieces. For the first time in years, my home actually felt like mine.
And I slept better, maybe because I wasn't carrying someone else's chaos anymore.
Word about Madison trickled in through mutual friends. She was on a performance review for conduct concerns. Her leased BMW had been repossessed. She'd moved back in with her mother and was trying to start a lifestyle blog, Elevated Coastal Living, which had barely 276 followers. Then Chloe reached out. Her message made everything click. "Ryan," she wrote, "after you left the restaurant, Madison tried to justify everything. She bragged that you'd been paying for her spa days, her shopping, her courses, all while telling us she was financially independent. When I called her out, she insulted me, Bradley, and even my fiancé's business, said we were all basic and settling for mediocrity." That conversation came full circle when Chloe's fiancé, a Marine, veterinarian, offered me a consulting contract worth $45,000. "Anyone who can stay professional after what you went through," he said, "is exactly who I want working with my animals." Then the calls started. 3 diners from that same restaurant reached out, all owners of waterfront properties. They wanted marine surveys and diving lessons. "We hired you because of how you handled yourself," one of them told me. "If you can stay calm while being attacked like that, we trust you with our family's safety." The irony was poetic. Madison's attempt to destroy my reputation had become the best marketing campaign I never planned. 2 months later, I got a call from a Miami number I didn't recognize. It was Chase, the marketing director she'd supposedly shared a hotel room with. "Ryan," he said, "I need you to know what really happened." Madison made advances toward me. "Said you were unambitious and holding her back. But when I looked you up and saw your work, I realized she was lying to justify herself. I turned her down, and that's when she snapped. She's been threatening to accuse me of harassment unless I back her story. I've already documented everything." By then, Madison's messages had started again, desperate, fragmented, and sad. She'd lost her job, was working retail for minimum wage, and her mother was charging her rent. The blog hadn't made a single cent. Her last message read, "Ryan, I know I destroyed everything good between us. I'm drowning. Please just help me get stable. Then I'll disappear from your life forever." I never replied. Because by then I finally understood, peace isn't something someone gives you. It's what's left when they stop taking it. I stared at Madison's message for a long time, almost an hour and a half, letting old memories flicker like scenes from a film I'd already watched too many times. 4 years together. 4 years of what I thought were shared dreams. Lazy Sunday mornings, her laughing while making pancakes, the way her eyes lit up when I first taught her how to snorkel. She used to tell strangers how proud she was of my marine conservation work, saying I was saving the ocean one dive at a time. Back then, I believed every word. But as I sat there that night, rereading her plea for help, I realized those moments didn't belong to the woman she'd become. They belonged to someone who had been performing, a version of herself curated for admiration, not connection. After 90 minutes of silence, I finally typed my response. "Target on Rivers Avenue is hiring seasonal help. They value people with organizational skills and social media experience. Your background should actually help there." Her reply came within minutes, sharp, wounded, and familiar. "You've become heartless and cruel, Ryan. The man I loved would never abandon someone he cared about." I took a deep breath before answering. "No, Madison," I wrote. "I'm just no longer your worthless fish teacher. Best of luck with everything." Then for the first time in years, I blocked her, permanently. The next few weeks were quiet, almost unsettlingly so, but in that silence, something started to shift. For the first time, my life wasn't revolving around damage control. It was mine again. 10 weeks after that disastrous birthday dinner, I got an unexpected call. It was Patricia, Madison's mother. Her voice trembled, but not from anger this time. "Ryan," she said, "I owe you an apology." Madison finally admitted the truth. About the finances, about Chase, and about how she really felt about your career. "I'm ashamed of how my daughter treated you, and I wanted you to know she's finally facing reality." For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Patricia had once defended every one of Madison's outbursts. Hearing her speak like that felt like the closing of a chapter. I simply told her, "I appreciate your honesty, That means more than you know. Meanwhile, my business was growing faster than I could have imagined. The State Conservation Partnership had evolved into 4 more research contracts with coastal universities. I hired 2 part-time assistants to manage the surge in diving instruction requests. For the first time in years, the balance in my account came from purpose, not pain. My days were full. Morning dives with marine biology students, afternoons analyzing coral restoration data, evenings teaching new divers how to respect the ocean rather than conquer it. It was everything I'd dreamed of when I started coastal marine education. Then one afternoon, while stopping by a marine supply store for some new tank regulators, I saw her again, Madison. She was in the parking lot, loading discount cleaning supplies into the trunk of a dented 2019 Honda. Her once glossy hair was tied back carelessly, her clothes mismatched. The effortless polish she'd once worn like armor was gone. For a brief second, she looked up, eyes locking onto mine. I saw recognition flicker there, followed by embarrassment. She took a small step forward like she wanted to say something. But then she froze. Her gaze dropped to my truck, freshly wrapped with coastal marine education, exploring ocean depths across the doors. The same business she once mocked as a hobby for people afraid of real careers. She stopped moving. I started the engine and turned away without a word. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing there, still small and silent against the gray parking lot. That moment crystallized everything. I'd finally found my worth, not in validation, not in revenge, but in quiet peace. In knowing that I had built something real while she was still chasing the illusion of what she thought mattered. And as the ocean shimmered in the distance, I realized the simplest truth of all. She'd once told me I was too comfortable beneath the surface, that I hid underwater to avoid the world. But now I understood I wasn't hiding. I was home.